Well, welcome to the Mindcraft podcast, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. So, what Giovanni's over here someplace, and I would like to talk about today. Where are you, G? I was on the other side of the table. What we'd like to talk about today is moods. Moods are different than feelings. Feelings are sort of flighty. They come in and out, whereas moods are more of a pattern, and feelings can certainly lead to moods. And what we'd like to talk about today is how many of us, when we find ourselves landing in a mood, and I think we're mainly talking about, moods that are down or negative, because we don't typically have difficulty managing being in a good mood, right? And often people, when they kind of find themselves in this pattern that, leads them to this not so good mood, they'll dissect it. I feel like a 7th grade science project on a frog. Picking it apart, looking for something wrong or weird or different. And sometimes there is something wrong, of course, but a lot of times there isn't. Yet when we spend so many life minutes overthinking a mood, it can also make it, most often, makes it way worse. So it's really important to understand that other things can lead to a not so good mood, a low mood, other than something actually being wrong. And so, really wrong. So one of the things is you haven't had enough solitude in your day and in your life, not enough quiet. And no matter how extroverted you might be, because extroverts, and introverts are different, then there's the whole middle, because life is a spectrum, right? I actually just did a reel on that, I think this morning or yesterday, or I don't know. Anyway, introverts need more time alone, and not necessarily alone. Some people get confused about this. Introverts need a lot more quiet time, reading, walking, in the woods by themselves, things like that. But also, introverts can also, alone is in quotes, like air quotes, because that can be with someone who's so comfortable, partner, best friend, sibling, whatever, that you feel like you're kind of alone, which is a compliment to them. So it doesn't necessarily mean alone. And extroverts, of course, we get our charge by being with people, but even us extroverts need some time alone. We need some solitude. We all do. So one easy way to find yourself in an edgy, low mood is to allow yourself to get overstimulated. And I know that I've had a wonderful past week being with our daughters, 2 of our daughters and granddaughter in Disney World and everything. There's also a lot of back and forth. We had the hurricane issue, blah, blah, blah. And I found myself getting a little overstimulated. The good news is I'm aware of when I get overstimulated at a fabulous 59. I wasn't always. I remember back in college, I used to get overstimulated pretty frequently. I just not being aware that can lead you to, having, snippy moments and stuff. So that's a biggie. That's a really, really big one. Not that I get snippy that much, to be truthful. I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky person. But the overstimulation piece just doesn't leave you a lot of emotional juice to handle other things. So it's really important to realize if you're overstimulated. Next one is clutter. A lot of people do not realize, there's lots of books on this, but I think a lot of people don't realize that clutter, which also definitely can affect me for sure. I'm really not a big fan of clutter. And, clutter on the outside causes clutter on the inside, and the reverse. And so we can walk around, if you're working in the home, especially, or at your office space or whatever, and you're feeling, in a lower mood, check out your clutter situation, because that's something that is not deep. It's just something that we allow to happen when we don't, prioritize, decluttering. And a cluttered room or space, any kind of space, desk space, office space, living room, kitchen, whatever it is, can really lead to us being in a low mood, because it's a direct effect on the mind. And the third one is lighting. I was just talking to someone recently they're actually moving out of their apartment, because it's also small, and that can add to a mood too. But they don't have a lot of light in their apartment. In fact, there's no window in the bedroom, so they're out of there. That can greatly affect our mood. We need lots of lighting, not lots and lots of lighting. And I've noticed, even when I just got back from Florida, I noticed I know a lot of people had to put their hurricane shutters up and stuff. And I was in one place where the hurricane shutters were still up. It was the next day, which maybe they're just being safe. I don't know. But I thought, wow, to live like that for any length of time would absolutely wear on me. But I'm like kind of like on the opposite end, because I'm a space person. I'm definitely a space, big window, lots of light person. And that would wear on me. I don't think I could last like that for 48 hours, really. Lighting is a big deal. And it depends on your wiring, how big a deal it is. Like I don't like feeling like I'm closed in, and I like a lot of light. And then what's another one? Okay, also hormones, especially for women. I'm not going to say not men at all, because men have hormones too, obviously. They just don't have the cyclic up-down thing that girls and women have with hormones. And through most of life, actually, we deal with that. And some women are more affected than others. And sometimes, women are digging deep to try to figure out, let's do this one. This one's annoying me. That one's in. They said something to me. And it's really what it is. And then the next day, they're like, you don't even feel like you care anymore. And that's because sometimes hormones can affect us too. And it's just so important to realize this, because it's not necessarily anything huge going on with you. And then another one is when you're not physically well. I think we know that. For me, it's the common cold can be a big Debbie Downer, because I have a thing with it. I don't think anybody likes not being able to breathe, of course. But the common cold can sneak up on you and bite you in the butt, because mostly when we have a head cold, most of us continue to go to work. It's not the same as being flat on your back with the flu or the coronavirus or whatever. But the common cold, we tend to keep going. We keep making dinner. We keep going to work. We keep doing the grocery shopping. We keep answering everybody's emails. And after a while, that can really wear on our mood, because after a while, we just get so sick of not feeling like our best self. So that's another one that can bring a mood down pretty quickly. And then what do we have? Lastly, how you've eaten or not eaten that day. And the jokes about being hangry and things like that. But you could even have eaten and not made the best choices. I'm not judging. I definitely like a good burger and a pile of fries once in a while, which actually makes me feel like really good. So that's maybe not the best example. But let's just say you had something that didn't agree with you, or maybe you really pounded a lot of sugar, and now you're feeling the after effects of the sugar blues, because that's a real thing. In fact, there was a book written about that in like the 80s, maybe 70s, and in that range, a long time ago. Sugar blues, because sugar crashing is real, and anybody who already struggles with anxiety and or depression, especially the depression end of that spectrum, wants to avoid sugar as much as you can, because the sugar crash is real. And so if you're somebody who's more sensitive to it, that can absolutely bring your mood down pretty quickly. So here's the thing. The reason why we're talking about this is because a lot of times we're assuming it's some big thing. Oh my God, it's my relationship, it's over. No, you just ate too much sugar. Or, I've got to get away from that friend group. They're no good for me. No, you've just been living in clutter for a really long time. It's been wearing on you slowly, or the hormones, and maybe some of these overlap. So it's really important to realize that. Now the big question is, okay, so what do I do about it? Well, like we've been talking about with other things, the first key to most things is awareness, right? So once you become aware of, wow, I'm in a low mood, but there really isn't anything huge wrong. It doesn't mean you don't have some stuff. Everybody's got something, right? But there's really nothing major going on. I'm medically okay. I am, physically I went for a walk today. This is just little SHIT that's, whatever. It doesn't mean somebody's not on your nerves or whatever, but there are ways to get ourselves to shift out of that. And of course, it all starts here. So realizing that there's nothing gigantic going on is the first step. The next thing you really want to do is figure out the ways to pick yourself up. Okay, so A, nothing huge is wrong in my life at the moment. And then B, or numbers or whatever you want to do, is get outside and move. Get outside and move. Because even if it's just a walk, getting out in the fresh air is a really, really, really quick one. We've talked about deep intentional breathing, because each and every time you do a, deeply, if you can do that for a whole 60 seconds, which, I mean, you spend more time than that in the bathroom, right? When we breathe deeply, I mean really deeply till you get tight abs, it's a neurological reset on the brain, which brings it out of the past or the future and right into the present moment, which is really great. Next, I'll tell you something that I do, and it depends. Well, it does. Oh, actually, it really just depends on you getting in a good spot. I elevate my state because Tony Robbins talks a lot about this, elevating your state, which is what we're talking about. State, mood, it's all related. I have a couple of power songs, and one leads right into the other. They're both Aretha Franklin. I grab a spatula, a spoon, something out of a little canister thing we have on the counter, especially if no one's home. I really crank it up. And the first song is Think by Aretha Franklin, and I just fly around the living room. Man, I feel like $1,002,002 after I play that song. And when that leads into Respect, to this, both songs are about maybe 3 minutes. I don't know how long a song is, around 3 minutes each. 6 minutes, I have the world by the ass. Because all it does, the brain is not that easy to trick or change the direction of it. Really isn't. So think of it as, I've often made the analogy of a thoroughbred horse in a race, right? It's this big, powerful, majestic, gorgeous animal. That's the mind. And who's steering the big, majestic, fast, powerful animal? Brilliant to watch. Just brilliant to watch them run around track. The jockey, he weighs like, 90 pounds or something. Think about that for a second. So we are in charge of this brilliant, majestic mind that is creating the mood we're in, because thoughts come first and feelings second. That is how it is. That is how it will always be. Without the mind, there are no feelings. So therefore, you can't be in a low mood without thinking low thoughts. And dissecting things to death and overthinking is a very quick way to a low mood. So think about that, and then we have to shift out of that, shift away from that, and start. The last one here is, I do this every day in my life, but if you're not somebody who does, you want to start. 3 grateful thoughts. I am grateful for my golden retriever. I am grateful for this gorgeous day. I am grateful for my divine health, whatever it is. I do that practice every day of my life in the morning, and quite honestly, I don't have anybody who knows me. I'm not in a low mood very often, like rare, actually. And because when we really take hold as the jockey, we take charge of the mind, take charge of that thoroughbred horse, then great things begin to happen. And so the gratitude journal first thing in the morning is like a preventative thing, to prevent moods. And the rest of it we just talked about. So stay on top of your mood. The other thing I do is a midday mindful minute each and every day. Right around now, this is the mid-afternoon. How am I feeling? How am I doing? If it's good, okay. It doesn't mean you just toss that away. Breathe in the good feels and think, okay, a lot of good stuff has been happening. Absence of bad stuff, good. Yay, go me. If you are feeling low in your mood at that point, remember that, thankfully, we can turn the day around at any given time. That's our choice. I don't care if it's 11:58 at night. You have 2 more minutes till it's a new day. You can turn it around. Instead of, I got to run in my stockings. My boss yelled at me. My coffee was cold. The Starbucks person was snippy. Whatever. And then it's only like a whopping, 8:45. Who cares? Start it over at 8:46. So there are all kinds of tricks and tips to rescue life minutes from the rest of your day instead of letting it go down the rabbit hole by being passive and on autopilot. Autopilot is the biggest thief of life minutes there could ever possibly be. So you want to take charge of the jockey, as the jockey of your life. Recognize when you're in a low mood, shift out, and turn your day around. All right, TGIF, have a fabulous day.